Poetry out loud.
Poetry out loud.
So why poetry out loud? Oftentimes students find poetry to be harder than reading fiction and more complex, and thus get turned off by poetry. However, poetry is really language at its most playful, language at its most malleable, and language at its most mysterious. And as a result, students who participate in poetry out loud get to discover those wonderful elements of language that they might not otherwise.
Turning the Tables by Joel Diaz Porter. For eardrum. First, hold the needle like a lover's hand. Lower it slowly. Let it tongue the record's ear, then cultivate the sweet beats blooming in the valley of the groove. Laugh at folks that make requests. What chef would let the diners determine which entrees make up the menu? Young boys think it's about flashy flicks of the wrist, but it's about filling the floor with the manic language of dance, about knowing the beat of every record like a mama knows her child's cries. Nobody cares how fast you scratch, 'cause it ain't about soothing any itch. It's about how many hairstyles are still standing at the end of the night.
Poetry Out Loud also offers our students the opportunity to increase their competitive nature in ways that they're not necessarily accustomed to. Many of our students compete on the athletic fields as a team, but this allows them the chance to be the sole competitor and to see what they're capable of. It also allows students to practice public speaking skills that will be so valuable later in life. Voice, articulation, accuracy are key components of how students will be judged, and this will allow them to practice and take that experience into real-world experiences later in life, where they'll be asked to speak publicly and be clear and express themselves coherently.
I enjoyed Poetry Out Loud last year because it allowed me to express myself in poetry, and it also allowed me to discover new poets and place new authors and stuff into my list of authors that I enjoy. And I also liked it because me personally, I like to be on stage, and I like poetry, and I like expressing myself through words and through poetry. And for next year, I think that something that's important is, along with the emotion and the reciting the poetry, you have to memorize it like perfectly to get like the score for accuracy, as well as the score for how you presented it. So that's like something that I advise you to do if you're thinking about Poetry Out Loud. And I think you should do it because if you don't usually do stuff like that, it brings you out of your comfort zone. And you can also look into new poetry and find the beauty in poetry if you don't like it or haven't been interested in it prior to Poetry Out Loud.